I'm talking about such bad blood that the two teams were ready to throw hands in the locker room right after the game. And such bad blood that both teams fought over who could level the dirtiest plays and cheap shots during the game. These are the NBA teams that hate each other. Around 6 years ago on Halloween, some of you might remember the time LeBron's Cleveland Cavaliers threw a party to troll Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and how they blew a 3-1 lead in the 2016 NBA Finals. LeBron had tombstone cookies with Steph and Klay's names on them. I mean, that is kinda cold, not gonna lie. That was the time the Warriors-Cavs rivalry was actually being talked about as the new age Celtics-Lakers rivalry that was through the 1980s. Especially after the Warriors took advantage of a Cavs team that had Timofey Mozgov as their second best player in the 2015 NBA Finals. Another finals meeting was what Cleveland wanted, Golden State wanted, and, well, what we wanted. Klay Thompson called LeBron's party petty, and if I've taught you anything about Klay, he keeps his receipts. Oh, and that was around 50 or so days before the Cavs and Warriors would meet for an epic Christmas Day rematch that I think all of us can agree was the best Christmas Day game maybe ever.
Drive back to James! To Curry. Curry for three. Bang! Irving spins, puts up the shot. It's good!
And even though the Warriors led by as much as 14 points in the fourth quarter, they still somehow squandered that lead to LeBron and Kyrie, who took over down the stretch. The Warriors knew they should have won that game and knew that they were clearly the better team now that they had Kevin Durant. But the game is about wins and losses. So when the Warriors lost a 4th straight game to the Cavs dating back to Game 5 of the 16 Finals, the Cavs felt that they were in the Warriors' heads. And that pissed off each guy in the Warriors, namely Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. Klay was already fuming because of the Cavs trolling them a few months earlier, and Draymond still had some pretty extreme beef with LeBron at that point. Actually, just 5 days before the Cavs and Warriors' next matchup, Klay was still talking about the Cavs Halloween party. Guys, he could not wait to get the Cavs again, saying, "It's obviously not respectful, so it's got to be on the other side of the spectrum, so that's fine with us. They can do that childish stuff. It doesn't matter to us. All we've got to do is handle it on the court, you know?" And this time, there was no way he was letting them lose. So when the Warriors drew the Cavs on January 16th, 2017, a whole lot of this happened.
Jefferson.
Golden State was physical, unrelenting, and seemingly out for blood. And if you're wondering, yes, Klay did lead the way that game with 26 points and 5 three-pointers. So, I guess he got exactly what he wanted. And it was from that point on, this quote-unquote rivalry skewed in the Warriors' favor big time. The Cavs and Warriors would go on to meet in the next 2 finals. And in those 2 series, it was all Golden State with an 8-1 record, to which Klay Thompson had the ultimate savage response. Oh yeah, ha, that was funny. Look at how that turned out. Psh, bums. That was crazy. I forgot about that. Well, look at what pettiness gets you. Gets you 1-8 in the finals, idiots. Dang, I felt that too. Kinda like how Jaren Jackson must have felt all in his feels when Klay Thompson called him out on national television. You see, the Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies have started a pretty vicious cycle of taking shots at each other, both mentally and physically. And things really turned up when the Warriors and the Grizzlies established their own little grudge at the end of the 2020 season, when Memphis sent Steph and the Warriors home and ended their playoff hopes. And apparently, the Grizzlies felt really good about doing just that. Because when the Grizzlies and Warriors met again almost a year later, this time with Klay in the lineup, the Grizzlies won again. And that led Jaren Jackson Jr. to put out a tweet saying, "Strength in numbers." Jaren Jackson Jr. tweeted nearly a full 3 months before Klay called him a bum.
There was this one player on the Grizzlies who tweeted strength in numbers after they beat us in the regular season, and it pissed me off so much. I can't wait to retweet that thing. Freaking bum.
Klay held on to that and patiently waited for a potential rematch in the postseason. Then Klay would get his wish. And I just know the Warriors were bitter over Dillon Brooks hard fouling Gary Payton Jr. in the playoffs and nearly gave him a career-threatening injury with the entire world watching. So the Warriors were out for blood, and apparently K was most hyped to destroy Memphis.
Thompson again. Rebound, 7 assists for Green. Thompson comes over the rejection. Looney another board. He's got 20. Thompson puts it in.
It's just heartwarming to see Klay at his best again. I mean, seriously, he deserved that moment. And I knew with all my heart and soul that Klay would respond in a big way, the way he typically does in a Game 6. And then fast forward to these two teams' latest encounter when Draymond and Klay downright trolled the Grizzlies for showboating, and especially after Dillon Brooks called the Grizzlies a dynasty?
Keep building this dynasty. And
then oh yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that these two teams would have turned the entire arena into a boxing match if there hadn't been cameras everywhere. Dynasty, you say? Well, here's what Klay had to say about that.
Man, they was talking about dynasty and all that. You can't talk dynasty when you haven't won before.
I mean, it's one thing when a rivalry or some good old-fashioned beef gets started with the two teams going at each other on the court. Some hard fouls, cheap shots, trash talking. That's one thing. But bad blood? Over one player? What? That's exactly what Kawhi Leonard did back in 2019 when he stumped the Lakers in favor of the Clippers. Both LA teams knew they had a shot at Kawhi. Heck, LBJ and the Lakers even saved an entire $32 million worth of cap space to get ready to sign Kawhi. But as savage as it sounds, Kawhi rejected the Lakers and took Paul George with him in a matter of just hours, which started the fiercest rivalry in the NBA in 2020. Kawhi even featured his own commercial before the start of the next season and straight up trolled LeBron and the Lakers by calling LA Kawhi Town, with a crown hanging on Kawhi's keychain in the commercial. Straight savage. Oh, and things got chippy on the court, too. Patrick Beverley swatted away LeBron's late-game shot attempt and was doing all sorts of talking. And then he went to the media and talked about how there was no challenge trying to guard LeBron.
Can you describe the challenge it is defensively when LeBron...
no challenge. Not hard at all.
Heck, even the coaching staff was taking shots at the other. This was some seriously brewing bad blood.
I think theirs is whatever LeBron says it is, to be honest.
Hate? Nah. This was straight up wanting to devastate and destroy one another. But that's the NBA, and we fans will always welcome some good old beef and two teams making headlines by taking constant shots at each other. What's more entertaining than that?